There are so many storylines going into this year. Of course, the last time we had you on, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers was probably going to be a Jet, though nobody knew for sure. He is now a Jet. The AFC is obviously so loaded. The NFC still has a couple of teams in there. Like, I know you're a big Detroit Lions fan, obviously. I know you're a big Browns fan. And so when you look at both your teams, I'm going to put them kind of in one batch here. The Browns are obviously in that vaunted AFC, especially in the North, but you still got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore, all those teams, as I mentioned, also in the AFC. And then in the NFC, you got the Lions, who are in a little bit of a weaker division and especially a weaker conference. So, what's your excitement for your two teams going into this NFL season?
For my Lions, it's going to be an electric year, especially after coming off of last year. Nobody expected us to do anything really, and we came from the rough. Uh, Steroid coach, cocaine coach, as I like to call him, because he's always jacked. It's my guy right there. But I think we're going to the playoffs. I think it's like you said. We had a conversation off air a few nights ago. Playoffs are no excuse. I agree 100%. I think the Browns. I can't ever say anything for sure about the Browns because I've seen this team look phenomenal on paper and buckle under pressure. I've seen a lot of things, so I'm just gonna say that the Browns will make the playoffs as well. But I'm not banking on it because I know what the Browns can do. I know how Stefanski could screw us. I know how anything can possibly happen in the NFL, especially as a Browns fan. So I'm excited though. This is gonna be an electric year for football. It's gonna be an electric year for your Philadelphia Eagles, for my teams. It's gonna be a fun year.
Jalen, I kind of put you in a rough spot there because I told the fans that you are a Browns and a Lions fan. Many fans know that obviously I'm from the Cleveland area, but I grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Do you want to explain sort of the situation between, yes, you are in Cleveland, but you're also a Detroit Lions fan, real quick?
So when I was a young boy, my cousin Scotty, shout out Scotty. I'm gonna send him this clip so he knows. Um, he was a Lions fan, and I was drawn to the Lions because I loved Calvin Johnson. I love that man, and that is forever my favorite player. I don't care about legacy. I don't care about Super Bowls. That is my guy. I love Calvin Johnson, and I just gravitated towards the organization. And of course, growing up in Cleveland, like you can't escape Browns. Like we are insane. So you can call me a front runner. You can say I have two favorite teams, and that doesn't make sense. Well, I would like to point out that two of those teams are the two of the worst teams in recent memory in NFL. So I've had some rough years, but I
I've,
love my teams.
I've had people ask me before if the Browns and Eagles ever played in the Super Bowl, would you root for the Browns? And my answer was always hell no. Yeah, would I be happy for those Cleveland fans to get a Super Bowl? Yes, but when it came at the expense of my team, screw you. Are you in that sense that the Browns and Lions ever played in the Super Bowl? Are you Lions 100%?
Damn. Ah, gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, probably. It's just like those are my first memories of football, really. And like I remember, do you remember that Thursday night game where Rodgers threw an absolute bomb against my Lions?
Yes, that skyrocketing perfect El Mary that hit Richard Rodgers right in the hands.
Yeah. So from then on, I was like, "Oh, this we need a Super Bowl. We need a Super." I was so young, and I didn't know much about football. Obviously, I didn't know as much as I do now. Um, but I was like, we need to win a Super Bowl. We need to win a Super Bowl. So I think if the Lions won a Super Bowl, I would go hard. I would party hard. But I think if the Browns won, I would also party. But if the Lions won, I'm going 10 times harder. So I'm excited, man. I love the Lions. I couldn't ask for a better team.
I'll talk about the Lions in a couple minutes. I want to go back to what you previously said about the Browns because I've heard this sentiment from a lot of people in the Cleveland community, and that is, oh, the Browns need to make the playoffs this year or bust. In the AFC, I don't believe that is the case. I mean, you look at the teams, right? Buffalo, Miami, Jets, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. It's 9 teams right there. You add in Jacksonville, that's 10. Pittsburgh, some people think Tennessee, though I don't think that. New England, which I have no idea what the hell they're doing. I'll get to them in a minute. I think the Colts could be a sneaky good team as well if Anthony Richardson pops. There's so much competition in the AFC that to me, Browns win 8 or 9 games or 10 games and they still may not be able to make the playoffs. I think that could save Kevin Stefanski's job. But if you go 6-11 or 7-10, then we're having a different conversation. I guess my question is, are you in that same mindset of expectations of like, if they win 9 or 10 games, you do realize that may not be enough for a playoff spot in the AFC?
I agree. We are so loaded. Like our division is, this package of teams, they are all good. They could all come out as a dark horse. We got good teams, we got average teams, but those average teams could still make playoffs because they have the talent to do it. So I agree with you. Just because we win 11 games, we might not make the playoffs.
Well, no, 11 will 100% get you in.
11,
9 and 10, very borderline, especially 9. The thing is, though, you think about it, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, probably going to beat everybody up. Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, they're going to beat each other up. Buffalo, Miami, Jets, probably going to beat each other up. So there's an opportunity. We think all these teams are going to win, 11, 12 games. What if they all win 9 or 10 games and you're fighting for, basically seeding at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. You could probably take I don't know if you could take the Dolphins out of there, but I think you might be able to. It depends on where Tua is.
Oh, that's the thing. The Dolphins are one of the hardest teams to figure out because I believe if Tua's healthy for all 17 games, they're 11, 12 win team. If Tua is out for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, God forbid, half a season, they are legitimately a 6 or 7 win team.
Yeah.
So I have never seen Jalen, and I don't remember if we talked about this the last time you came on the show or not. I've never seen a quarterback go from a legitimate bust to when he's healthy being an MVP candidate the way Tua did last year. And all Miami really did was, yes, they got Tyreek Hill, but they made a coaching change, going from a defensive mind of Brian Flores to an offensive mind of Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. Shout out to my dad. He's a Dolphins fan, so be careful what you say about Tua on the podcast.
Hey, I have ridiculed Tua before last season. I called Tua a bust. I said he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I said the Dolphins made a mistake. There were all these Deshaun Watson rumors, and Mike McDaniel just proved me all wrong. So I apologize to your dad.
It's because he throws left-handed. You looked at it like, why does he throw the ball like that?
Yeah, this is kind of a weird pet peeve of mine. I don't think a lot of people know this. I don't even think you know this. I personally do not like left-handed quarterbacks. There's something about it where, like, it's like left-handed shooters in basketball. I don't really particularly like left-handed shooters in basketball. I think it just comes out weird. I think it's a weird motion, and most NFL plays are designed to go left to right. You run it the opposite way, right to left, the play completely changes. So that's why I'm so impressed with what Miami did last year.
I wanna backtrack here. You said you don't like when players shoot left-handed. Well, guess what? I shoot left-handed. I throw dots left-handed, okay? Left-handed quarterbacks. I have a special bond with left-handed quarterbacks because there's not many of them. But I am left-handed. I do shoot left-handed. I dribble left-handed. I throw spirals left-handed. I do everything left-handed. So me and Tua, we got a bond here, and I'm rooting for him.
I did not know that, and I apologize to you with whatever ism you say I am towards left-handed quarterbacks. I want to go back. I want to ask you one more Browns question because I know you're an avid listener of the podcast, so you probably heard me talk about this and ask various guests over the past few months. Jalen, I'm going to throw this out there. This season, even if the Browns don't make the playoffs, let's say Deshaun Watson, which they will more than likely make the playoffs if he does this. If Deshaun Watson returns to the allegation, very good to great Houston Texan like quarterback, in my opinion, at that point, especially with the, I guess, age of the running back position in today's NFL, I would trade Nick Chubb. Because to me, you could get maybe an extra corner, an extra defensive lineman, use an extra pick, go out and get another wide receiver, opposite of Amari Cooper. We're seeing all these Super Bowl teams, whether it's Kansas City, Philadelphia, the Rams, New England back in the day, go on and on and on and on about teams that don't pay their running back actually go on either make and win the Super Bowl. The last 10 Super Bowl winners, Jalen, 8 of them have not had a 1,000-yard regular season rusher. You look at the teams that do have the great running backs, Tennessee, the Giants, Minnesota for a while with Adrian Peterson, and then Dalvin Cook. Obviously, the Browns with Nick Chubb. Like, these are good, but more than middle of the pack like teams. Like, I think it's time for the Browns. If Watson has a good year, you rip the Band-Aid off Nick Chubb and you move on to him and you give Jerome Ford and some of your other talented backs on the roster the ability to split the workload.
I don't agree with that. I think Nick Chubb is a dog. That man's got some dog in him. I'm gonna give you a basketball comparison here. This man is like prime Kawhi Leonard. He shuts up and he does things well. He loves to win. That's what Kawhi did in San Antonio and in Toronto. He was quiet and he won. That's what Nick Chubb is. I feel like our team needs that. Our team needs a burst of energy, and that's what Nick Chubb is. So I say I get what you're saying. If Watson goes back to 2020 Deshaun Watson, then maybe you discuss it. But I'm not giving up Nick Chubb for just anybody. You need to throw out something major.
Well, that's what I said. Maybe you go get another defensive lineman outside of Garrett if Zadarius Smith is not there. Maybe you go get another wide receiver outside of Amari Cooper to make Amari Cooper your number 2. Because I'm not, as you know, I'm not the biggest believer in Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper could be the best number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think he's a number 1. That to me is where I would attack because this league is moving more to a passing league.
Oh, it's been like that for a while now, but I don't know. I like how physical Nick Chubb is. I like how he just keeps the wheels turning even after 4 defenders can jump on his back. He's still fighting for extra yardage. I feel like that's what this team is. We fight for everything we have, even if we screw it up occasionally.
All right, Jalen. So we talked some Browns. I'm going to shift gears to your Lions. Now, I got to admit, I love Dan Campbell. I actually questioned Dan Campbell in the middle of last year when you guys started. I don't know what it was, 2-5, 2-6, something like that. I said, Dan, you got to start winning games. And then Jared Goff obviously got hot. And, Jared Goff plays very well in warm weather and dome environments. I really like what the Lions did at the end of last season, obviously winning that game in Green Bay, carrying that momentum to the offseason. But the draft to me sort of confused me. You guys obviously trading away DeAndre Swift to my Philadelphia Eagles for a measly 2024 fifth-round pick. I thank you for that. We'll see how good that kid Gibbs is. Obviously, Jamal Williams now is also out the door. And then you drafted an off-ball linebacker, which I didn't understand when you desperately needed secondary help. So I questioned the draft a little bit, but your offense is going to be really good. I think bringing back Ben Johnson as the OC was important. The question's going to be, can this team score enough points to beat the likes of Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago in your division? I think they can. I don't think the Lions are a great team. I think they're they're a 9-10 win team, but I think at least winning the NFC North, as we talked about before, should be the expectation.
See, I agree. I think we're better than Chicago. I think we're better than Minnesota. On paper, anyway, I think like Kirk Cousins is not good. Okay.
He's good in the 1 o'clock window occasionally, but as we've talked about, right? Like right now, we're not projecting. Right now, I would say Jared Goff is the best quarterback in that division. Now,
Yeah,
if
I agree.
here's the thing, if DJ Moore, like AJ Brown did for Jalen Hurts, like DeAndre Hopkins did for a few years for Kyler Murray, what Stephon Diggs did for Josh Allen, if DJ Moore changes life for Justin Fields, the Bears are going to be a legitimate team. My problem with Chicago, Jalen, is, as I've told you before, is their head coach is a defensive head coach, Matt Eberflus. I would have not fired Matt Nagy. I didn't understand that. I don't think Eberflus is the right coach for Justin Fields, and I think, quite frankly, it's going to hamper his development.
Matt Nagy sucks. Don't ever say that
Oh,
again.
come on, stop it. Matt Nagy got Mitch Trubisky to a playoff game. They went 12-4 with Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback.
You act like that's a. I love Money Mitch.
Oh, Jalen, stop it. You actually think Mitch Trubisky is a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL?
Not now. No, hell no, not now. But I'm just saying, Matt Nagy sucks.
Matt Nagy gets a bad rap because he had a bad roster and bad ownership.
He had a. Do you? I don't remember what game it was, but the whole time Chicago was chanting "Fire Nagy" or "Nagy sucks." Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. And it's because Chicago, like New York and some of these big markets, they don't understand patience. I think Matt Nagy, by the way, Kansas City is where he went. I think he's going to thrive with Mahomes, obviously. I think he's going to rebuild himself. I think he's potentially in line there to be the successor for Andy Reid, like we all thought Josh McDaniels is going to be for Bill Belichick, which I will again bring that up in a second. I don't know. I didn't like the coaching change. I don't like Matt Eberflus, I'll tell you that. And Minnesota is a weird team. They won a lot of one possession games last year. I don't think they're going to do that. And I'm sorry, I'm out on Green Bay. Jordan Love lost a game in college to my Kent State Golden Flashes in a bowl game, which in that moment I knew Jordan Love was not going to be a great quarterback. They don't have many weapons. Like I look at Green Bay, they're Aaron Jones or bust. I think they're a 5 or 6 win team this year. I really do. Minnesota, I think, is like an 8-9. Chicago, I think, is an 8-9. Detroit, I think, is a 9-10. That's kind of the way I see it.
I remember that bowl game actually.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I didn't believe it. I was like, "What the hell?"
It was during the COVID era. My
Yeah.
guy Dustin Crump, along with Sean Lewis, scoring all those touchdowns. But I will say this. So, if you're a Lions fan this year, I don't think you have to win a playoff game. You'll probably play a wild card team, which may end up being a Dallas or even a Minnesota or a Saints, something like that. So you may end up winning one playoff game, but I think this team is still a couple defensive pieces away. I do like the addition of CJ Gardner-Johnson in the secondary, but again, as I mentioned with the draft, I just didn't understand why you didn't address the defensive line and the corner situation, your two biggest weaknesses on your team.
I agree. I see as a Lions fan, you're kind of used to disappointment, right? You're as a Browns fan and a Lions fan, and partially for a while there, an Eagles fan, you were used to disappointment. See, I don't know how the season's gonna play out. I don't agree with the draft. I don't agree with what we did. I agree we need major help in the secondary. We need big help there. But it's kind of like do you remember when the Browns drafted Baker and like there was a buzz around the city?
Yes.
That's how I feel with this Lions team. Like after we beat Green Bay, by the way, screw you, Baker Mayfield. You screwed me over twice. You screwed me. You screwed the Lions out of a playoff spot, and then you screwed the Browns over because you're a whiny bitch. Anyway, regardless, no Baker Mayfield rants today. But as a Lions fan, I just feel a buzz, like an excitement to watch the Lions this year. I'm so excited.
So I want to ask you this question. Listen, I have no earthly idea in the world what the hell has happened in New England. I can't even speak clear sentences to try to figure out what the hell their identity is on the offense side of the ball. Jalen, they give Juju Smith-Schuster a big contract, and Juju was nice in Kansas City because they schemed him open. He could not separate in man coverage when he was in Pittsburgh. Then they go out and they signed Devontae Parker to an extension. And did you know that per advanced analytics stats, Jalen, in 2020, 2021, and 2022, each of the last 3 years, Devontae Parker, not in total, in each of those last 3 years, was ranked dead last in man coverage separation in the National Football League. That's going to be your number 2 wide receiver, and on some nights your number 1 because we all know Juju Smith-Schuster has been injured throughout his career. In the drought, they drafted nothing but corners, kickers, and guards. Mac Jones has not had a legitimate wide receiver in his 3 years. Jacoby Myers just left out the door to go to Las Vegas. Like, they're going to win games against bad quarterbacks on defense alone, but in their division, we talk about Buffalo, Miami, the Jets. Like, I see a real possibility where there's a chance, especially if Tua stays healthy, they go 0-6 in the division. Like, I think this team is a 5 to 7 win team max. And I do think Robert Kraft's comments of, hey, listen, I would love for Bill Belichick to pass John Shula's record, but I want to get Super Bowl number 7. Like, Belichick's moves are what you do to sabotage an organization. I really think this year, more than ever, this could be Belichick's last year in New England, and it's earning his legacy, in my opinion, post Brady.
Yeah, Belichick's lost it. Belichick, he lost his baby boy. He lost baby boy Brady. He probably got into some hardcore alcoholism because of depression. You know, he's really going through it right now. As a long-time Pats hater, as a long-time Belichick hater, I love to see this. I love to see it.
I mean, Jalen, do you agree with me? I have no idea what the hell they're doing.
No, because they're treating Juju Smith-Schuster as a top receiver when he's really not. He's maybe number 3 at best. If you use him properly, he's good. He fit in Kansas, like you said, he fit in Kansas City perfectly because you have so much weapons on the offense side of the ball for Kansas City that Juju was just a sneaky little weapon that you can hit if you need a little 7, 8, 9, 10-yard gain or something up the field. That Juju's your guy, or if you need TikTok marketing, but that's besides the point. You know, you can't. What are they going to do this year? You think Belichick's going to be on the logo doing TikTok dancing with Juju?
I mean, I think they'll win 5 or 6 games based off defense alone. They do have some soft games in there where they can pick on some young quarterbacks. That's how they're going to win. But when it comes to their division, unless, like I said, unless Aaron Tua or Josh Allen gets hurt, they're not winning a division game.
No.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you one last NFL question here. Give me a team each from this category. Give me a team that you think maybe some people are sleeping on, that maybe people don't think are going to make the playoffs, that you think could surprise people. And then give me a team that maybe people are too high on that you think could take a step back or maybe not even make the playoffs.
Team that I'm high on.
Because I'll give you mine after you give me yours, because I got 2.
What about a team that I'm high on? I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but I'm very high on this team.
Is it yeah, okay.
Atlanta.
Okay, I've heard a lot of people say that. I think just because they have a weak schedule, they don't play like a top quarterback outside of Derek Carr. I think people have said.
Yeah,
Um,
Atlanta, and I think team that people are too high on. Hot take, the Jets.
it's not that much of a hot take. I think they're going to be like a 8, 9, 10 win team. I think
Yeah, I
they're
don't
going to
think
start.
Rodgers can turn that around.
I think
That
they're
that
going to struggle early. I think their schedule softens up in the middle of the year, so they'll get hot late. I do think I point back to the fact they won 7 games last year with Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson. So I think Aaron's good enough to give you 1 or 2 more wins. I don't think much else. I think, again, 9, 10 win team. Still don't know if they're a playoff team. I'm going to do my NFL predictions at the start of September. I'm working on them right now. Very hard in the AFC. I'll tell you that. NFC to me is definitely a lot easier. Generally know who's going to make the playoffs. Maybe a wild card team or two could be a surprise. I'll give you my 2 teams, Jalen. The team that I think is going to surprise some people, a lot like you. I have this team winning the NFC South, so I am in the same division as your Atlanta, but I'm going to go with Carolina. I like Bryce Young a lot. I think he's going to be a terrific NFL quarterback. You know how I feel about Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich is a great coach. I think adding Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst, they have some offensive pieces that I do like. Their offensive line is young and ascending. Their defense, we know, is obviously very good. And I am not sold yet on the Saints. I like Derek Carr a lot, as you know. I think their coach is terrible, though, and Dennis Allen. Don't know how much Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas are going to play. Atlanta, I just don't know what I'm going to get out of Desmond Ritter yet. And then obviously Tampa Bay to me is going to be a better team, I think, than people think. But still, I think only like a 6, 7 win team if Baker plays there the whole year.
I agree. Now, did you see what Baker did in practice yesterday?
I did see that.
That is the childish behavior we wanted to get rid of. And then there were some people like, ride with 6, ride with 6. I'm not riding the 6. This man is how old? 20, 25, 26 years old? Something like that?
Yeah.
And he's acting like a child. Like he's acting like this is like he's on varsity and his teammates are on J. Like
Yeah, I know. I know.
That thinks he should be on varsity. Like that. Like grow up.
So I'm going to give you a team that I also think is going to completely stink, that some people think are going to be okay. They may win 8, 9 games. I think they're going to win like 5 or 6 games. And that's Tennessee. I did not like the pick of Will Levis in the draft. I do not like Ryan Tannehill that much anymore. I think he's getting old. And if something happens to Derrick Henry, they're completely screwed. The one thing that may change them is getting DeAndre Hopkins. But right now, they have that kid Burks, a wide receiver, and that is it. I mean, you can play 10 in the box against Derrick Henry. They have no offensive identity. Their defense is getting old. They collapsed at the end of last season. A lot like New England that doesn't have any weapons. Like, I think Tennessee is going to be terrible, even in that bad division, where I think the Colts could surprise some people. And by the way, I think Houston could surprise some people.
I agree. I think Tennessee is going to be horrible. Derrick Henry's body has to be wearing down. Ryan Tannehill can't throw more than 5 yards. He's a red zone quarterback. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Tennessee's going to be great. I think it's going to be horrible as well.
I also think Green Bay is going to be pretty bad. I would do it. I think they missed on Jordan Love. I told you when we were on here in February. I get it. Green Bay wanted to see what they had. They spent a first-round pick. They wanted to get Aaron Rodgers out of the building because of Aaron's ayahuasca stuff. If I was Green Bay about 2 years ago, I would have admitted we made a mistake on Jordan Love. Like if I'm San Francisco, I would probably admit I made a mistake on Trey Lance. Try to find a deal for him. Even with Aaron's aloofness, I would have probably brought Aaron back. Especially with those young receivers, I don't see any pop in Green Bay in your division at all. Like I said, I think they're a 5, 6 win team, if that.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll give Jordan Love 1 year. I'll give him this year, and if he doesn't impress me at all, done. He needs to go.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.